A man in Pennsylvania worked part-time at a hardware store while collecting Social Security. He made about $30,000 last year. He reported his earnings to Social Security in January of 2025 like he was supposed to. Then in late February 2026, he checked his bank account expecting his March Social Security payment. Nothing. He called Social Security and they told him his March check was being withheld because he went over the earnings limit. The entire check. Gone. He had to go an entire month with zero Social Security income because he earned $6,000 too much. And here's the part that makes it worse. He had no idea this was coming because nobody explained to him how the withholding actually works. If you're working while collecting Social Security and you're under full retirement age, there's a very real chance your March check or one of your upcoming checks is about to disappear, and you might not find out until the day it doesn't show up. Subscribe and hit that bell because Social Security withholding is one of the most confusing and poorly explained parts of the system, and understanding it could be the difference between having income next month and having nothing. Let me explain exactly how Social Security withholding works and why March is when a lot of people are suddenly discovering that their checks are being taken. If you're under full retirement age and you're earning wages, Social Security applies something called the earnings test. For 2026, if you're under full retirement age for the entire year, you can earn up to $24,480. If you earn more than that, Social Security withholds $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn over the limit. So if you earned $30,000, that's $5,520 over the limit. Social Security will withhold $2,760 in benefits, and here's how they actually do it. They don't take a little bit from each check. They withhold entire monthly checks until they recover the amount you owe. So, in that example, if your monthly benefit is $1,500, Social Security will withhold your first 2 checks of the year to recover the $2,760. That means your January and February payments don't arrive. And if you didn't know this was coming, you just spent 2 months with no Social Security income wondering what went wrong. Now here's why March is when people are getting hit. Social Security processes earnings reports that you filed in January and February. They calculate how much you went over the limit. And then they start withholding checks. For a lot of people, that withholding starts hitting in March or April once the paperwork catches up with the system. But here's the part that destroys people financially. Social Security bases the initial withholding on your earnings estimate, not your actual earnings. When you file your earnings report, you're supposed to estimate how much you think you'll make this year. Social Security uses that estimate to decide how many months of benefits to withhold. But if you underestimate your earnings and you end up making more than you projected, Social Security will discover that when they get your tax information from the IRS next year, and then they'll send you an overpayment notice demanding you pay back the difference. And if you don't pay within 30 days, they can withhold 50% of your monthly benefit going forward until the debt is cleared. So you're stuck in this impossible situation. If you estimate too low, you get hit with an overpayment later. If you estimate too high, they withhold more checks than they need to up front, and you go months without income. And most people don't even realize they're supposed to be filing these earnings reports in the first place. Social Security doesn't send you a reminder. They assume you know the rules. And if you don't report your earnings and you go over the limit, they find out when your tax return gets filed, and then you're dealing with an overpayment that could have been avoided. Now let me explain what happens if you're in the year you reach full retirement age, because the rules change and they get slightly better. If you're turning your full retirement age in 2026, you can earn up to $65,160 in the months before you reach that age. And Social Security only withholds $1 for every $3 over the limit, instead of $1 for every $2. So you have more breathing room. And once you actually reach your full retirement age, the earnings test goes away completely. You can earn as much as you want with no impact on your Social Security. But here's what most people don't understand. The money that Social Security withholds because of the earnings test is not lost forever. Once you reach full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your benefit to give you credit for the months they didn't pay you. Your monthly benefit goes up permanently. So if they withheld 6 months of benefits because you earned too much, when you hit full retirement age, your benefit increases as if you had claimed 6 months later. It's not a lump sum repayment. It's a permanent boost to your monthly check. But you have to survive financially in the meantime, which is why understanding this system before it hits you is so critical. Now let's talk about overpayments, because this is the other reason Social Security is withholding March checks. An overpayment happens when Social Security determines they paid you too much money in the past. Maybe you were on disability and you started working but didn't report it fast enough. Maybe you're on SSI and your income or living situation changed and you didn't notify Social Security within 10 days like you're required to. Maybe your deceased spouse's earnings record was calculated wrong and you got survivor benefits that were too high for months or years. Whatever the reason, when Social Security decides you were overpaid, they send you a notice and they start withholding your benefits to recover that money. And the withholding rate for overpayments just changed in a way that's devastating for people. As of April 2025, Social Security increased the default overpayment withholding rate from 10% to 50% for most Social Security benefits. That means if you owe them money, they can take half your monthly check every single month until the debt is paid off. For SSI recipients, the rate is still 10%, but for everyone else, it's now 50%. So if you're getting $2,000 per month and Social Security says you owe them an overpayment, your next check could be $1,000. And the month after that, $1,000. For however long it takes to recover what they say you owe. Here's what you need to do right now if you're at risk for having your March check withheld. First, if you're working and you're under full retirement age, make absolutely sure you've filed an earnings report with Social Security. You can do this by calling 1-800-772-1213 or by visiting your local Social Security office. Tell them how much you expect to earn this year. Be conservative with your estimate. It's better to overestimate and get extra checks later than to underestimate and face an overpayment. Second, if Social Security has already notified you that they're withholding your benefits because of the earnings test, understand that this is not permanent. The money will eventually be credited back to you when you reach full retirement age through a higher monthly benefit. But in the meantime, you need to adjust your budget. If you know your March check isn't coming, plan for it now. Don't wait until March 1st to discover you have no income. Third, if you receive an overpayment notice, do not ignore it. You have 30 days from the date on that notice to appeal or request a waiver. If you appeal within that 30-day window, Social Security cannot withhold your benefits while they review your case. But if you wait longer, they start taking 50% immediately. And if you believe the overpayment was Social Security's fault, not yours, request a waiver. You might not have to pay it back at all if you can prove it wasn't your fault and that repaying it would cause financial hardship. Fourth, if you're already facing withholding and the 50% rate is destroying you financially, call Social Security and request a lower withholding rate. They have the authority to reduce it if you can show that 50% would prevent you from paying for basic necessities like rent, food, or medication. Fill out the financial hardship form. Document your expenses. Make them lower the rate. You don't have to accept 50% just because that's the default. Fifth, check your My Social Security account right now. Log in and look for any notices about earnings, overpayments, or benefit adjustments. Social Security posts messages there before they send paper letters, so if something is coming, you might see it online first. If you don't have a My Social Security account, create one today. It takes 10 minutes, and it could give you advance warning that your benefits are about to be withheld. Here's the bottom line. Social Security withholds checks for two main reasons. The earnings test if you're working and you went over the limit. And overpayment recovery if they say they paid you too much in the past. Both of these can result in your March check or any upcoming check disappearing with little warning. And under the new rules, they can take 50% of your benefit every month until the issue is resolved. If you're working, file your earnings report. If you got an overpayment notice, appeal it within 30 days. If you're already being withheld from, request a lower rate. And whatever you do, don't ignore this and hope it goes away, because it won't. Social Security will keep taking your money until the debt is cleared or until you fight back and win. That man in Pennsylvania lost his entire March check. He's now scrambling to figure out how to pay his mortgage with no Social Security income. Don't let that be you. Check your status. File your reports. Protect your benefits before they disappear.